Welcome back to another GeekaWhat video, and today I'm taking you over the very best $600 gaming PC build for 2017, specifically one that uses brand new Kabylake parts from Intel. So make sure to drop a like, rate and subscribe. But with any video, let's kick it off with the performance numbers you can expect and then the parts I chose and why. This build really is capable of 1080p high to ultra settings, providing you turn anti-aliasing down and VSync off. You're going to be getting great frame rates of over 60 frames per second, and even the likes of GTA 5 and Overwatch. If you did want to play some of the older games such as CSGO, World of Warcraft and League of Legends, you're looking at well over 100 FPS in many cases at 1080p ultra settings. So let's kick it off with the CPU. For the CPU, I chose Intel's brand new Core i3-7320. Now I know what you're thinking, a $600 build with a Core i3? Now don't underestimate this i3 processor. When many people think of i3s, they think of old laptops with really crappy i3 CPUs, and this really is far from it. This will definitely outdo a lot of the i5s from previous Intel generations, and is their 7320 model. It's got hyper-threading, so whilst it is physically only a dual core, it actually acts like a quad core, making it compatible with the games that ask for at least 4 cores. Not only that, it has an incredibly high stock clock speed of 4.1 GHz, so whilst it isn't overclockable, you won't need to overclock it anyway to get any more performance. In terms of motherboards, since we've gone for a more budget oriented Kabylake chip and one that you won't be overclocking, we don't need to opt for a B170, a Z270 or a Z170 chipset. Instead, we can go with MSI's GAMING H110M Micro ATX motherboard. I went for the Micro ATX form factor as it gives you all the features and functionality you need, and means that you don't pay a premium for very small and compact, nor do you pay a premium for big and very feature rich. It has everything we need, from plenty of RAM DIMM slots, PCI-E 3.0x16 for even the most bandwidth intensive of graphics cards, and plenty of SATA 6 gigabit per second ports for adding hard drives and SSDs in, that kind of thing. In terms of RAM, it really was kind of the easiest part for me to pick. In 2017, all you need is 8GB for gaming, and if you're spending more on a higher spec system, say $800 and above, you want to go for 16 gigs. I went for one 8GB DIMM of Crucial's Ballistix Sport LT, of course in that DDR4 standard. You need that faster DDR4 speed and better DDR4 RAM for this Kabylake CPU and motherboard, and by going with one 8GB DIMM as opposed to two 4GB DIMMs, you don't see very much performance difference, but it does allow for much better upgrade paths and much greater future proofing. Now what that means is in 6 or 12 months time, you've got a bit of extra cash, just go and buy an identical DIMM again to give you 16 gigs total. You don't need to disregard or throw away or waste that initial 8GB stick. Storage, once again, was quite an easy choice. You can either go for Western Digital's Caviar Blue 1TB drive or Seagate's Barracuda 1TB drive. I opted for the WD drive because it was cheaper and has slightly better reviews at the moment, although it does kind of swing back and forth between the two. It's 7200 RPM speed, which is as fast as mainstream hard drives get, but isn't going to match the speed at all of any form of SSD. That being said, it's got a terabyte of space, which is great for your Steam library, movies, music and games. Just an overall great product at a brilliant price point. In terms of graphics cards, this was definitely a tricky choice. Nvidia's GTX 1050 and 1050 Ti are great alternatives, and I'll link them below, but due to slight volatility within the pricing of those cards, I instead opted for AMD's RX 470, a direct competitor to the two and one that sits right in the middle of the 1050 and the 1050 Ti. I went for MSI's gaming variant, which not only looks fantastic but performs very well. I've reviewed XFX's and Asus's RX 470s, and you'll be able to view those on the channel if you wish to see what kind of performance numbers and different cooler designs you can be expecting from the RX 470 line of cards. For the case to house this system, I chose Corsair's Carbide Spec M2. Not only does it have a nice side panel window to view all of your hard work and your PC while it's running, it has a conclusive front panel I/O, USB 3, USB 2 and HD audio for plugging in headphones, microphones, headsets, that kind of thing. It also supports the full-size ATX Power Supply form factor. It supports up to Micro ATX form factor motherboards as well, which means it isn't massive and isn't going to take up loads of room in your bedroom, gaming room, studio, living room, that kind of thing. Overall, a really solid choice. And finally, for the power supply, a 500 watt 80 plus certified unit from EVGA is more than good enough. I featured it recently in my $350 gaming PC build guide, which you can view on the channel, which also gives you a tutorial of how to build that PC as well, and I've had no problems with that unit since. EVGA stuff is really reliable, and that 80 plus certification done by an external company guarantees that this is going to perform very efficiently at even under 100% load. And that basically wraps it up. There is one more thing that I would recommend if anyone has another kind of $30 that they wish to spend, and that's Cooler Master's Hyper 212 Evo. This is the highest rated cooler of all time. It's got thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews. Just check it on Amazon or Newegg or whatever, and links as always will be in the description below. It's an incredible CPU cooler which will allow plenty of overclocking headroom if your CPU is overclockable, and keep things most importantly nice and quiet so that your eardrums don't get deafened whilst you're having that great gaming experience. And that wraps it up for this build. If you did enjoy it, you know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at GeekaWhat for a behind the scenes look into my personal life and a whole load more. Make sure to have a look at the Amazon links in the description below to all the products mentioned if you did want to buy them, and as always, we'll see you in the next GeekaWhat video.